In the year 2145, the skyline of Neo-Metropolis glittered under a perpetually twilight sky, a testament to humanity's relentless march toward the future. Towering skyscrapers of glass and steel reached into the clouds, their surfaces alive with holographic advertisements and dynamic light displays. Flying cars weaved through the airways, leaving trails of luminescent light as they darted between buildings. The city was a pulsating heart of technology and progress, where the lines between reality and virtuality blurred seamlessly. Amidst this high-tech paradise walked Kayden Vega, a man whose demeanor contrasted sharply with his surroundings. Clad in a worn leather jacket and faded jeans, he exuded an air of weary cynicism. His eyes, sharp and observant, scanned the crowd with a mixture of detachment and purpose. Kayden wasn't your typical citizen of Neo-Metropolis. He was a time traveler, a specialist in what his peers begrudgingly referred to as cosmic pruning. His mission was simple yet daunting: to alter pivotal moments in history to prevent future wars and catastrophes. Today, Kayden was on a mission that weighed heavily on him: the Great War of 2260. This catastrophic conflict threatened to dismantle the very fabric of civilization, leading to widespread destruction and despair. His client, an enigmatic figure with connections that delved deeper than the highest echelons of power, had entrusted him with a critical task: prevent the assassination of General Lucius Padrick in 2259. Padrick's death was the spark that would ignite the war, and stopping it was supposed to be the key to averting disaster. Kayden stepped into the bustling marketplace of 2259, a vibrant tapestry of sights, sounds, and smells. Stalls lined the streets, selling everything from ancient relics to illicit technology. Refugees from various timelines mingled with locals, their faces etched with stories of displacement and survival. The air buzzed with the chatter of merchants and the hum of clandestine deals. Navigating through the crowd, Kayden made his way to a quaint cafe nestled between a holographic arcade and a black market tech dealer. The establishment, known as the Temporal Brew, was a popular spot for influential figures to unwind and discuss matters away from prying eyes. Today, it was the designated meeting place for General Lucius Padrick, the man whose fate Kayden was determined to alter. As he approached a corner table where Padrick sat alone, sipping a cup of synthesized coffee, Kayden felt a surge of confidence. This was it, the moment that could change everything. He took a deep breath, straightened his jacket, and prepared to introduce himself, hoping to intercept the assassination before it could occur. But just as he was about to speak, a voice sliced through the ambient noise of the cafe, halting him in his tracks. "You're about to make a terrible mistake, Mr. Vega." Kayden turned, his eyes searching for the source of the interruption. Emerging from the shadows was a woman dressed impeccably in a vintage suit, reminiscent of a 20th-century noir detective. She held a delicate cocktail glass, twirling it with an air of practiced nonchalance. Her presence was both enigmatic and unsettling. "Who are you?" Kayden demanded, his usual composure wavering as unease crept into his voice. She smiled, a hint of mischief playing on her lips. "I'm the one who makes sure you don't mess up the timeline again." Kayden frowned, trying to make sense of her words. "And by the way, you're about to fail." She chuckled softly, the sound both mocking and melodious. "You're not here to stop the assassination. You're about to make it happen. You're always about to make it happen, and you never even notice. This is your 42nd attempt to fix this damn timeline, and guess what? History doesn't give a damn what you do." Kayden's eyes narrowed, the weight of her statement pressing down on him. "Wait, you know who I am?" "I know exactly who you are. A failed time traveler with a chip on his shoulder, thinking he can outsmart fate," she replied, her finger tapping rhythmically on the glass. "Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to let you try again, because, well, it's kind of amusing watching you fumble around in the dark. But just know this, time traveler, history isn't broken. You are." Before Kayden could respond, she vanished, leaving behind only a faint trace of laughter lingering in the air. He stared at General Padrick, who looked up with a puzzled expression, unaware of the near disaster that had just been averted. or so he thought. Caden felt a chill run down his spine. The woman's presence had been unnerving, her words echoing in his mind. He glanced back at Patrick, who was still engrossed in his coffee, seemingly oblivious to the cosmic struggle that had just unfolded. Reversal. Caden expected the assassination to be thwarted by his intervention, but instead, General Patrick remained unharmed. Confusion settled over him as he watched the general's mild surprise, realizing that despite his efforts, the war was set to begin regardless of this single event. Caden had been trapped in this relentless loop for what felt like an eternity. Each attempt to alter history had ended in failure, the Great War still looming on the horizon, reshaping the world into a desolate wasteland. No matter how many times he traveled back, no matter the strategies he employed, the outcome remained stubbornly unchanged. It was as if time itself conspired against him, ensuring that the catastrophe unfolded in some form or another. His journeys through time had taken him to countless pivotal moments, each one a desperate bid to steer humanity away from ruin. He had tried to broker peace treaties, expose conspiracies, and even orchestrate personal interventions, but each effort seemed to sow the seeds for a different but equally devastating conflict. The future he returned to was always worse, or at best, unchanged, but now, something was different. The encounter with the mysterious woman had planted a seed of doubt in his mind. She had spoken with such certainty, such conviction, that Caden couldn't ignore the possibility that there was more to his mission than he had previously understood. Perhaps his very attempts to change the past were part of an unending cycle designed to reinforce the inevitability of the Great War. Determined to break free from this cycle, Caden delved deeper into the mechanics of time travel. He sought out old records, obscure theories, and even reached out to other time travelers, hoping to find someone who had managed to deviate from the pattern. Most were either too jaded to help or guarded their knowledge jealously, believing that tampering with time was a perilous endeavor that should remain untouched. During one of his late-night research sessions in his secluded apartment, surrounded by holographic screens and ancient tomes, Caden stumbled upon a reference to nodes in history. These were critical junctures where decisions held immense weight, tipping the balance between peace and war. Altering events at these nodes could have unpredictable and often catastrophic consequences elsewhere in the timeline. As he traced the threads of these nodes, Caden began to understand that his mission was not merely about preventing a single assassination or stopping a war. It was about navigating a complex web of cause and effect, where every action had far-reaching implications. The nodes were like inescapable dead ends in a labyrinth, each one a point of no return that thwarted his attempts to rewrite history. Fueled by this revelation, Caden embarked on a new strategy. Instead of trying to fix individual events, he sought to identify the underlying patterns that governed the flow of time. He believed that by understanding these patterns, he could find a way to break the cycle and create a truly lasting change. His travels took him to various points in history, each visit unveiling more about the intricate dance of fate and free will. He met other time travelers, some who had given up in despair, others who were zealously trying to impose their vision on the timeline. Through these interactions, Caden pieced together the existence of a singular concept: the end of fate. The end of fate was a theoretical point where all possible futures converged, where the threads of destiny wove together into an inextricable tapestry. It was the ultimate convergence, a moment when history itself was destined to end, regardless of the actions taken to alter it. This realization shook Caden to his core. If the end of fate was inevitable, then his efforts to change the past were nothing more than futile attempts to delay the inevitable. Determined to uncover the truth, Caden sought out the Archivist, a legendary figure rumored to possess comprehensive knowledge of all timelines. The Archivist was a recluse, living in the forgotten corners of history, preserving records that spanned centuries. It was said that he could predict the flow of time with uncanny accuracy, understanding the subtle nuances that governed the evolution of events. After months of searching, Caden finally located the Archivist in a forgotten library of the 19th century, surrounded by dusty tomes and relics of bygone eras. The Archivist, an elderly man with piercing eyes and a demeanor of serene wisdom, welcomed Caden with a knowing smile. "Welcome, Caden," he greeted, his voice a blend of warmth and authority. "I've been expecting you." Caden felt a mix of relief and apprehension. "You know who I am?" "Of course," the archivist replied. "Every traveler leaves a mark, even if it's just a ripple in the vast ocean of time." Caden wasted no time. "I need to understand the end of fate. How do I stop the war?" The archivist sighed, gesturing for Caden to sit. "The end of fate isn't something you can stop, nor should you try. It's a convergence of all possible outcomes, a culmination of every decision made and every path taken. The war is but one thread in the grand tapestry of history." Caden frowned, frustration bubbling within him. "If I can't stop it, then what's the point of all this? Why am I trying to change it?" "Because," the archivist began thoughtfully, "understanding the end of fate is about more than preventing a single war. It's about comprehending the very nature of time and existence. Every attempt you've made to change history hasn't been to stop the war, but to seek answers to questions you didn't even know you had." Caden leaned back, contemplating his words. "So, what am I supposed to do?" The archivist smiled gently. "Acceptance, perhaps. Realize that some things are beyond our control, and that understanding them is the true path to enlightenment. The end of fate isn't an end to be feared, but a realization of the interconnectedness of all things." Caden felt a weight lift off his shoulders, yet a sense of unease lingered. "But what about the suffering, the loss? Can't we do something to minimize it?" The archivist nodded. "Humanity has a way of learning and adapting, even in the face of inevitable challenges. The key is not to fight against the flow of time, but to find meaning within it. Every war, every peace, every triumph, and every tragedy, they all contribute to the evolution of society and the human spirit." As Caden absorbed this wisdom, he began to see his role in a new light. Perhaps his mission wasn't to alter history, but to understand and navigate its complexities. The struggle against the Great War wasn't just about preventing destruction, it was about finding purpose amidst chaos. Determined to embrace this newfound perspective, Caden thanked the archivist and prepared to return to his own time. But as he activated his temporal device, a realization dawned upon him. If the end of fate was indeed an inevitable convergence, then his understanding of it could change everything. Caden returned to Neo Metropolis with a sense of clarity he hadn't felt in years. The city's vibrant energy seemed less overwhelming, its technological marvels no longer a source of envy but a backdrop to his internal journey. He knew what he had to do next: explore the depths of the end of fate and uncover its true essence. His first step was to revisit the nodes he had previously identified. Each node was a critical juncture in history, a point where a single decision could drastically alter the course of events. But now, with his new understanding, he approached them not as obstacles to be overcome, but as integral parts of the grand design. Caden traveled to pivotal moments across different eras, observing rather than intervening. He watched as leaders rose and fell, as movements gained momentum, and as societies evolved. With each visit, he began to see the patterns that connected these events, the subtle threads that wove through time, leading inexorably toward the end of fate. One such node took him to the early 21st century, where he witnessed the rise of a charismatic leader whose policies would sow the seeds of global conflict. Instead of attempting to change the leader's fate, Caden focused on understanding the underlying causes of the unrest that propelled the world toward war. He saw that the root issues were deeply embedded in human nature and societal structures, making any superficial change ineffective in the long run. As he delved deeper, Caden realized that the end of fate wasn't a single event but a culmination of countless interactions and decisions. It was the inevitable outcome of humanity's journey, shaped by both progress and regression, innovation and destruction. The war he had been trying to prevent was merely one manifestation of this grand convergence, an expression of the eternal struggle between order and chaos. But understanding the end of fate didn't bring the peace he had hoped for. Instead, it highlighted the futility of his previous efforts and the limitations of his influence. Yet, amidst this despair, Caden discovered a flicker of hope. If the end of fate was a realization rather than an endpoint, then perhaps there was a way to transcend it, not by altering history, but by transcending the very concept of destiny driven by this possibility, Caden sought out others who had pondered the nature of time and fate. He found philosophers, scientists, and mystics who had spent their lives contemplating the same questions. Through their insights, he began to piece together a new philosophy, that true change comes not from altering external events, but from transforming one's understanding and relationship with time itself. Caden's journey led him to the edge of the known timeline, a realm where reality and possibility intertwined in an endless dance. Here, he encountered beings of pure consciousness, entities that existed beyond the constraints of linear time. They communicated not through words, but through thoughts and emotions, conveying a sense of interconnectedness that transcended individual existence. One such entity, a luminous figure named Alicia, became his guide. Alicia explained that the end of fate was not an end to be feared, but a transformation. It was the moment when all timelines converged, and the essence of time itself was reborn. To transcend the end of fate, one had to embrace the fluidity of time, understanding that every moment was both a beginning and an end, a point of infinite potential. Under Alicia's guidance, Caden embarked on a series of meditative journeys, delving into the depths of his consciousness and expanding his perception of reality. He learned to see time not as a rigid sequence of events, but as a dynamic and interconnected web, where every action resonated across dimensions. This newfound awareness allowed him to navigate the complexities of the timeline with greater ease, finding harmony within the chaos. As Caden's understanding deepened, he began to see his role not as a fixer of history, but as a participant in the grand symphony of existence. He realized that his efforts to prevent the war were not acts of defiance, but expressions of humanity's innate desire to create and shape its destiny. By embracing this truth, he found a sense of purpose that transcended the limitations of time travel. However, this enlightenment came with its own set of challenges. Caden struggled to reconcile his desire to protect humanity with the acceptance of its inherent flaws. He grappled with the ethical implications of his actions, questioning whether true acceptance meant passive observation or active participation in shaping the future. One night, as he sat in his apartment, contemplating the revelations he had experienced, the woman from the cafe reappeared. Her presence was no longer menacing, but contemplative, her eyes reflecting a depth of understanding that matched his own. "You're beginning to understand, aren't you?" she asked softly. Caden nodded, feeling a sense of kinship with her. "I think I am. But what now? How do I move forward?" She smiled, a genuine warmth in her expression. "Now, you embrace the flow of time. You find your place within it, not as a disruptor, but as a guardian. The end of fate is not something to be fought against, but a milestone to be acknowledged. Your journey doesn't end here, Caden. It evolves." With those words, she faded into the ether, leaving Caden with a sense of clarity and direction. He realized that his mission was no longer about preventing a specific event, but about fostering a deeper understanding of time and existence. By embracing the interconnectedness of all things, he could contribute to a future where humanity learned from its past without being shackled by it. Armed with this new perspective, Caden returned to his time, Neo-Metropolis, but he was no longer the same man who had embarked on his mission with a sense of desperation. He was now a seeker of knowledge, a guardian of the timeline, dedicated to guiding humanity toward a harmonious coexistence with the flow of time. Caden Vega stepped into the pulsating heart of Neo-Metropolis, the vibrant cityscape stretching endlessly before him. The neon lights reflected in his eyes, now softened by the weight of his recent revelations. He moved through the bustling streets with a newfound sense of purpose, each step echoing his internal transformation. The once overwhelming hum of technology in progress now felt like a symphony he was beginning to understand, each note a part of the grand design he was meant to embrace. As he walked, memories of his countless time travels flickered through his mind. Faces of those he had tried to save, moments he had desperately attempted to alter, all seemed less like failures and more like essential threads in the intricate tapestry of history. The archivist's words resonated deeply within him. The end of fate isn't an end to be feared, but a realization of the interconnectedness of all things. Caden paused at a park bench overlooking a serene artificial lake, the water shimmering under the ambient lights. He sat down, allowing himself a moment of reflection. The woman's enigmatic presence still lingered in his thoughts, her words a haunting reminder of his journey's true purpose. Acceptance. It was a concept he had always struggled with, but now, it felt within reach. His temporal device buzzed softly, indicating a message from his client. Caden hesitated before activating it, unsure if he was ready to resume his previous mission or if a new path awaited him. The screen displayed a simple message: meet at the temporal brew. Urgent. With a deep breath, Caden rose and made his way back to the cafe where his journey had taken a pivotal turn. The temporal brew was just as he remembered, an unassuming establishment nestled between a holographic arcade and a black market tech dealer. He entered, the familiar aroma of synthesized coffee and the murmur of conversations greeting him. The place was quiet, almost too quiet for a city that never slept. Behind the counter stood Mara, a seasoned time traveler and one of Caden's few trusted allies. Her sharp eyes met his as he approached. "You're back," she said, a mix of relief and concern in her voice. Caden nodded, sliding into the seat across from her. "I think I understand now, Mara. It's not about stopping the war directly. It's about understanding the flow of time and my place within it." Mara leaned forward, her expression serious. "Good. We've been monitoring temporal anomalies that suggest you're on the right path. But there's something you need to know." Caden's curiosity was piqued. "What's that?" Mara took a deep breath. "The woman you encountered, the one who warned you, she's not just a guardian of the timeline. She's part of a larger collective, a group dedicated to maintaining the balance of time. They've been observing your attempts to change the past, and while your recent insights have impressed them, there's a concern." Caden frowned. "Concern? What kind of concern?" Mara hesitated before continuing. "Your newfound understanding suggests you might be ready to transcend the conventional role of a time traveler. If you can truly embrace the interconnectedness of all things, you could potentially guide the flow of time in a way that harmonizes rather than disrupts it. But this requires more than just knowledge, it requires a transformation of your very being." Caden absorbed her words, the implications sinking in. "Are you saying I need to undergo some kind of change?" Mara nodded. "Exactly. To fully integrate with the natural flow of time, you must let go of the need to control every outcome. It's a difficult process, but essential for the evolution you're striving for." Caden took a moment to contemplate. The idea of transformation was both daunting and exhilarating. "What does this transformation entail?" Mara reached into her pocket and handed him a small, sleek device. "This is a temporal harmonizer. It will facilitate your integration with the timeline, helping you to align your consciousness with its natural rhythms. Use it when you're ready." Caden held the device, feeling its weight both physically and metaphorically. "And what happens after this?" Mara gave him a reassuring smile. "You'll find your role changing. Instead of actively trying to alter events, you'll become a guide, helping to steer humanity towards a more harmonious future. It's about subtle influence rather than direct intervention." Caden nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. "All right. When do I start?" Mara stood, placing a hand on his shoulder. "As soon as you're ready. Remember, this isn't about abandoning your mission, but evolving it. Embrace the flow, Caden. Let the timeline guide you as much as you guide it." With a deep breath, Caden accepted the temporal harmonizer. He felt a surge of energy coursing through him, a connection forming between his consciousness and the vast, intricate web of time. It was as if he could feel the heartbeat of the universe, each pulse resonating with his own. He activated the device, and a wave of warmth enveloped him. His vision blurred, and he felt himself being pulled into a state of heightened awareness. Memories, both his and those of countless others, swirled around him, intertwining in a dance of cause and effect. He saw moments of joy and sorrow, triumphs and tragedies, all interconnected in a seamless continuum. As the sensation subsided, Caden found himself standing in a realm beyond space and time, a vast expanse of shimmering light and energy. He felt a profound sense of peace, a connection to everything and nothing all at once. The presence of the woman from the cafe manifested beside him, her form more ethereal than before. "You've taken the first step, Caden," she said, her voice a soothing melody. "Now, you must continue to embrace the flow of time, allowing yourself to be both observer and participant." Caden reached out, but his hand passed through her like mist. "I understand, but how do I begin?" She gestured towards the expanse before them. "By letting go. Trust in the process, and let the timeline reveal its secrets to you. Your role is not to change it, but to guide it towards harmony." With that, she faded, leaving Caden alone in the vastness. He felt a renewed sense of purpose, the burdens of his past efforts lifting as he embraced his new role. The temporal harmonizer had not only connected him to the flow of time but had also unlocked a deeper understanding of his place within it. Caden closed his eyes, allowing himself to be carried by the currents of time. He felt himself returning to Neo Metropolis, but this time, it was different. The city seemed more vibrant, its people more connected, as if a subtle harmony had been restored. He realized that his transformation had already begun to influence the timeline in ways he hadn't anticipated. As he opened his eyes, he was back in his apartment, the holographic screens displaying a calm and orderly timeline. The War of 2260 had been averted, not by stopping the assassination, but by fostering a series of events that led to peace and understanding. General Lucius Padrick had survived, but his perspective had shifted, becoming a key figure in promoting diplomacy and unity. Caden smiled, feeling a sense of fulfillment he had never experienced before. The end of fate had not been an endpoint but a new beginning, a chance to guide humanity towards a brighter future without the need for constant intervention. He realized that true change came from within, from the collective consciousness of humanity embracing its interconnectedness. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, each passing moment reflecting the subtle yet profound shifts in the timeline. Caden continued his role as a guardian, subtly influencing events to promote harmony and understanding. He no longer felt the desperation of his past attempts but instead moved with a sense of calm assurance, knowing that his actions were part of a larger, harmonious flow. One evening, as he walked through the now peaceful streets of Neo Metropolis, Caden encountered Mara once again. She was standing near the temporal brew, a serene smile on her face. "You did it," she said simply. Caden nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without your guidance." Mara shook her head gently. "You did this yourself, Caden. The transformation was within you all along." He looked out at the city, now a beacon of progress and unity. "What now?" Mara placed a hand on his arm. "Now, you continue to guide. The timeline is ever evolving, and there will always be moments that require your subtle influence. But remember, it's not about controlling every outcome, it's about fostering an environment where humanity can thrive on its own." Caden felt a surge of determination. "I'm ready." Mara smiled, stepping back into the flow of the city. "I know you are. Welcome to your true role, Caden Vega. The end of fate has become the beginning of a new era." As she walked away, Caden felt a profound sense of peace. The struggles, the endless cycles of time travel, the desperate attempts to change the past, they were all part of his journey towards understanding and acceptance. He was no longer a mere traveler but a guardian of the timeline, a beacon of harmony in the ever-changing flow of time. Months passed, and Caden's influence continued to shape the future in subtle ways. The Great War of 2260 remained averted, not through force or intervention, but through the collective efforts of individuals inspired to pursue peace and understanding. General Padrick became a key diplomat, fostering alliances and promoting dialogue between nations. Scientific advancements flourished, driven by a renewed sense of collaboration and purpose. Caden found himself increasingly at peace, his past struggles serving as lessons that guided his present actions. He no longer saw himself as a solitary figure fighting against the tides of fate but as part of a larger, harmonious whole. The city's skyline, once a symbol of relentless progress, now stood as a testament to the balance between technology and humanity. One day, while walking through the park where he had once sat in contemplation, Caden encountered the woman from the cafe again. This time, her presence was warm and inviting, her eyes reflecting a deep understanding. "You've done well, Caden," she said softly. He smiled, feeling a sense of connection. "Thank you. I couldn't have done it without embracing the flow of time." She nodded. "Indeed. But remember, the journey never truly ends. Time is an endless river, and our roles within it continue to evolve. There will always be new challenges, new moments that require your guidance." Caden looked out at the artificial lake, its surface calm and serene. "I'm ready for whatever comes next." She reached out, her hand passing through his as before. "I have no doubt. Continue to trust in the flow, and you will continue to find your way." With that, she faded into the ambient light, leaving Caden with a profound sense of purpose. He realized that his role was not limited to preventing disasters but extended to fostering an environment where humanity could learn, grow, and thrive. The end of fate was not a final destination but a continuous journey of understanding and harmony. As he stood there, absorbing the tranquility around him, Caden felt a deep connection to the world and its intricate web of time. He knew that his actions, no matter how small, contributed to the greater good, guiding humanity towards a future filled with hope and possibility. Years passed, and Caden's influence continued to shape the timeline in positive ways. The city of Neo Metropolis became a beacon of progress and unity, its citizens living in harmony with one another and the technological advancements that surrounded them. The memories of the Great War of 2260 faded into history, replaced by stories of cooperation and resilience. Caden's role as a guardian of the timeline remained ever present, his actions subtle yet impactful. He became a mentor to other time travelers, sharing his insights and guiding them towards a deeper understanding of their roles. The lessons he had learned through his journey of acceptance and transformation became the foundation for a new generation of guardians, each dedicated to maintaining the harmony of the timeline. One evening, as Caden stood on a rooftop overlooking the city, he felt a sense of fulfillment that words could not capture. The skyline shimmered under the twilight sky, a perfect blend of technology and nature, progress and tradition. He knew that the journey was far from over, but he felt ready to embrace whatever came next. In that moment, the woman from the cafe appeared once more, her presence now a comforting reminder of his transformation. "You've come a long way, Caden," she said, her voice carrying a note of pride. He turned to face her, a genuine smile on his face. "And I have much further to go." She nodded, her eyes reflecting the boundless possibilities of the future. "Indeed. But remember, you're never alone. The timeline flows through you, and you through it. Together, we ensure that fate remains a journey of growth and understanding." With that, she faded into the night, leaving Caden with a renewed sense of purpose. He watched as the city thrived around him, a living testament to the power of acceptance and the beauty of a harmonious timeline. Caden Vega knew that the end of fate was not a conclusion but a perpetual evolution, a dance of moments that shaped the very essence of existence. He was no longer a traveler fighting against destiny but a guardian embracing its flow, guiding humanity towards a future filled with hope, unity, and endless possibilities. And so, as the city lights twinkled below and the stars shimmered above, Caden stood tall, ready to face whatever the timeline held, confident in his role in the harmonious journey that lay ahead. The end.